All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something really important, a new paper that lays out a national security strategy for the age of superintelligence. And what's wild is, it looks back to the Cold War to figure out how we move forward. Okay, so let's start with this quote from Geoffrey Hinton, who's basically one of the godfathers of modern AI. It really cuts to the core of the issue, right? If we build something that's way, way smarter than us, how on earth do we make sure we're still in the driver's seat? That's the massive question this whole strategy is trying to tackle. So, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the big analogy, the new nuclear age. Then, we'll cover the three major threats AI brings to the table. After that, we'll dive into the strategy itself, see how it would actually work. And finally, we'll talk about what this all means for our future. All right, first up, the new nuclear age. The whole idea here, the paper argues, is that if you really want to get your head around the stakes of AI, you have to look back at the dawn of the atomic bomb. And this is the core idea. Superintelligent AI isn't just, another cool app on your phone. It's a fundamental dual-use technology. Think about it. Nuclear energy can power a city, or it can level one. The paper says AI is exactly like that. It could bring unbelievable prosperity, or it could bring mass destruction. And because of that, we have to think about it with the same level of seriousness. Now, we need to be super clear what we're talking about when we say superintelligence. We're not talking about the chatbots you mess around with today. No. This paper is focused on a hypothetical future system that is way, way better than humans at pretty much every mental task, from discovering new physics to planning a war. I mean, a tool like that would completely change the game for global power. Okay, so if we're dealing with something on the scale of nuclear weapons, what are the actual dangers? Well, the paper boils it all down to three huge threats to national security. These threats are coming at us from three different angles. You've got the big one, strategic competition, countries racing to be the king of the AI hill. Then you've got terrorism. What happens when bad actors get their hands on this stuff? And finally, there's the one that sounds like sci-fi but is a real concern, loss of control, where the AI itself becomes the problem. Let's dig into this a little. Strategic competition. This isn't just about who has the better economy. We're talking about a destabilizing race for an AI superweapon that could throw the entire world off balance. Then there's terrorism. I mean, imagine a small group using AI to cook up a new bioweapon or to launch a massive cyber attack that takes down the power grid. And then we have that third one, loss of control, where the AI just slips the leash. And this is where we get to a really critical idea called intelligence recursion. It's the core of that whole loss of control threat. This isn't just an AI helping a scientist. No, this is when a whole group of AIs start improving themselves, designing the next generation of AIs all on their own. It could create this rapid feedback loop, what some researchers call an intelligence explosion, that just rockets past our ability to understand it, let alone control it. So, okay, we've got these massive, maybe even existential threats. What do we do? The paper says a simple software patch or just asking everyone to pause isn't going to cut it. Instead, it proposes a full-blown national security strategy, and it actually takes its inspiration from Cold War policy. And this strategy is built on three main pillars, which should sound kind of familiar if you know your Cold War history. First, deterrence. You have to stop your rivals from doing something stupid. Second, non-proliferation. You have to deny these powerful tools to terrorists and rogue states. And third, competitiveness. You still have to compete and stay ahead to protect yourself and your interests. So let's talk about deterrence. The absolute cornerstone of this idea is something they call MAME. Yeah, MAME. It stands for Mutual Assured AI Malfunction. And it's a direct callback to MAD, Mutual Assured Destruction, from the nuclear age. The logic is simple. If one country makes a crazy, all-out sprint to build a godlike superintelligence, they should fully expect every other country to try and sabotage that project. So, you might be thinking, is that threat of sabotage actually credible? Well, here's the thing. Unlike a nuclear missile you can hide in a hardened bunker deep underground, the stuff you need for superintelligence, these massive, sprawling data centers, are actually pretty fragile. They're basically giant glass houses. They're incredibly vulnerable to cyber attacks, to insiders, to everything. And that very vulnerability, that fragility, acts as a natural brake. It makes a reckless arms race way less appealing. Okay, so let's get practical. How do you actually deter, deny, and compete in the real world? So this idea of MAME, it's not just an all or nothing thing. It's more like an escalation ladder. You'd probably start small, right? With some quiet espionage just to see what a rival is up to. If that looks scary, maybe you move to covert sabotage, messing with their data, making their hardware glitch out. If they still don't stop, you could go public with a big cyber attack. And only as a last resort would you even think about kinetic strikes, actually blowing something up. Now for the deny part, keeping this stuff out of the hands of terrorists. The strategy says you gotta focus on 3 critical choke points. First, compute security. That means controlling the actual high-end AI chips. You can think of them as the enriched uranium of AI. Second, information security. This is about protecting the model weights. That's the secret sauce, the brain of the AI. And third, AI security, which means building the safety features right into the AI models themselves. And then we get to compete. And this is where things get really stark. Look at this. Almost all of the world's most advanced AI chips, the literal building blocks of modern power, both economic and military, are made in one place, 90%. That kind of concentration in a single, very tense part of the world, I mean, that's not just a business problem. That's a massive, flashing red light national security risk. So there you have it. Deter, deny, and compete. But what's the end game? What's the point of all this? Where are we trying to go? And this is really important. The strategy isn't about hitting the brakes on AI progress. It's about steering it. The idea is to take all that great power rivalry and channel it away from a reckless race for a superintelligence god mode, and instead point it toward safer things, like building up your own domestic chip manufacturing. It's about creating a stable environment where we can actually get all the amazing benefits of AI without, accidentally ending the world. Which brings us to the final, really powerful question this paper leaves hanging in the air. By treating AI with the same gravity we treated the nuclear threat, can we actually guide it towards something amazing? It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? That maybe the sheer scale of the risk is the one thing that will force us all to cooperate and build the guardrails we need, ensuring this all leads to a future of incredible prosperity instead of ruin.